Recent global events has created emotions and situations for people that leave us with death, anger, despair, and visions of pain. Can you be the hero? Exploring the culture, the adventure, and the impact of martial arts. And I'm your host, T.W. Smith. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your martial arts journey. If this is your first time to the program, welcome. You are in the audience of some of the finest and sharpest martial artists in the world. People that put in a great deal of sweat and a great deal of care into honing their craft. Eric Brown recently wrote an article titled, "The Worst Events Can Make You the Hero You Always Wanted to Be." Before we roll into the episode, Kung Fu Podcast is going to be moving over to twsmith.site. There'll be a whole category set up for Kung Fu Podcast. This already does and will continue to allow you to find more content and allows me the opportunity to develop and share more in the future. So go to twsmith.site. You can set up a free account and get access to even more material. Today we're going to study on this. Regardless of who you are, there are two forms of reality. There's the reality that we see as the world around us, and the way things actually are. Oftentimes these things are inseparable. Our vision can create our own specific world, and this world is real enough. Eric writes, quote, "A biological term for this is called umvelt, and is defined as the way an organism experiences the world. For instance, think of the bumblebee. We experience an entirely different world than they see on many levels. A common honeybee can actually feel the Earth's magnetic field," end quote. Consider that for a moment, that you could consciously feel the Earth's magnetic field, literally in your gut. Not only that, their eyes are sensitive to polarized light that can penetrate even the darkest clouds. So they are able to see the sun regardless of how thick of the overcast. Since this is biology and not psychology, umvelt applies to each and every species of life. I've heard Tasha Anna and Andrea Harkins, both female martial artists, discuss this. Particularly, Tasha discusses this in Kung Fu Podcast number 178, where she describes she's at a women's self-defense class, and the instructor, for the context of this podcast, is teaching self-defense from his umvelt, his perspective. And a 6-foot-tall, bald, 200-pound muscular man experiences the world much differently than a 5'3", 125-pound, long-haired brunette, especially one that likes to get dressed up in high heels and a dress when going out. Eric wrote, quote, "It's like our own human shell. As articulate as you are, you could never fully explain to me what it's like to be you. Vice versa for me. It's our particular umvelt. Furthermore, this personal world that we create with our senses is very real. If you believe this world is awful and you're a loser, the world tends to orient itself that way. Same goes if you see yourself as helpless. Marcus Aurelius sums it up eloquently by saying, 'The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts,'" end quote. There is one equalizer to umvelt, something that pierces through the shell: disaster. Disaster doesn't care how you see yourself or how you perceive the world. It certainly doesn't care about how the world sees you. Disaster is the most unbiased force in the universe. Usually we can see this power in natural disasters, wildfires that scorch land, lives, and memories, floods and hurricanes that carry away all we have, and we feel fortunate to find even a remnant in the wake of it. COVID came through, took many away, left many in a cloud of emotional darkness and the fear to socialize, one of the basic attributes of healthy living as a human being. Disaster is pure in its approach. Eric writes, quote, "Your past failures or wins don't matter to it. Neither do one's golden prospects for the future. Disaster's terrifying hand reaches out to everyone equally, waiting for our response." End quote. How you reply to disaster can alter both forms of reality to one of hope and forward focus. In the moments of disaster, those who were in self-doubt and low esteem yesterday can be life changers today. Christopher Fletcher was walking home a year ago. Then he hears a woman screaming and thrashing in the bushes. What he finds is Stephen LaQuest pinning down and brutally raping a woman. Fletcher puts Lesquinez in a chokehold and drags him off of the woman. It turns into a full fight, and Fletcher beats Lesquinez in the face until he can get police help. Since then, Lesquinez has been arrested, and the woman, whose name is protected, has struggled. Her umvelt has changed, so that now she is constantly looking over her shoulder. She's afraid to go shopping. She's afraid to go to work. The predator, Lesquinez, before he was taken away and put behind bars, the judge looked at him and said, quote, "Christopher Fletcher showed all the qualities of a brave, decent, upstanding member of the community in tackling you and summoning the police." End quote. Disaster changes reality in nations. Eric writes about the disaster taking place in the Ukraine, the news of invasion, the chaos around Kyiv. If this city falls, it will be a hard blow to the country. But as Eric writes, the news reports are missing something, primarily the leadership within the capital. He writes, quote, "The president of Ukraine was a former television comedian, and the mayor of Kyiv is a former heavyweight champion boxer who spent most of his life in the ring. Through our umvelt, that does not inspire a lot of confidence for governance during an invasion. Yet again, disaster doesn't care. A nation is rallying around these two unlikely characters at its worst moment. It doesn't matter who they were yesterday, only today." End quote. He's going to continue by saying that this may be cruel, but it's also unbiased in a way that we can only hope to be. It's not Hollywood. It doesn't matter if you are ugly, you have bad hair, or if you're 25 pounds overweight. Disaster will not exclude you from the opportunity to be in the leading role of this production. Whether you're a comedian, boxer, or a poor immigrant, disaster reaches out its hand equally. It smashes your umvelt into a million pieces and allows you to recreate yourself. What you or the world thinks doesn't matter anymore, only what you are today. Eric then writes about something that struck very close to home for me. It's the natural disaster of death. His mother recently died, and my mom just passed away a couple of weeks ago. These moments again change your umvelt. It comes clearly without prejudice. How we gather ourselves and respond to it can make you privately or for your family the hero. Disaster is going to come and is going to shake you down to the core. It brings us fear and uncertainty. We will usually hope deep down that it passes our door, but if you can remember, as Eric writes, it also reaches out its hand. Disaster doesn't care who reaches out their hand in reply. It's an open invitation to anyone brave and willing. He continues, "You're going to be transformed. Your umvelt, after being shattered, gives you the opportunity to change your vision of yourself forever. It may also change the way the world sees you. In other words, it'll change your reality. Volodymyr Zelensky used to be a comedian, and Vitaly Klitschko was a boxer. Now they are the president of a country and mayor of its capital, holding off the Russian military in an invasion. Eric concludes with this. So, as disaster meets you in the future, look it over carefully. In the middle of the tears, terror, and misfortune, somewhere a hand is extended to you. Take it. It's an equalizer like any other. The worst events can make you the hero you always wanted to be. End quote. I hope you have a fantastic practice today and put in your mindset that you can be the hero and that your practice is going to have the effort and focus so that if the hand of disaster reaches out, you'll take it with the fear and uncertainty that we spoke about, but with the promise in yourself that you can change your reality and perhaps other people's as well. I look forward to seeing you at twsmith.site, and I'll be talking with you soon.